Today we're taking a look at the DFS Army Proptimizer tool for PrizePicks, and this is just a brief explanation of how this tool works. So let me jump right into it because some of you guys have asked me questions what all these numbers mean and which ones you should follow, and so we're going to get into all of that right now. So on screen you see the PrizePicks Proptimizer available on DFS Army or at Sharp app, whichever you like, and let's get into what we're taking a look at here. So I'm going to go to a prop I think that is a little bit better for explanation reasons. So let's take a look at Tyler Higbee here, total receiving yards. So first thing you see here is the PrizePicks number, which is currently set at 45.5. Now that is a live number that you can find on PrizePicks right now. It's set with a metric, 45.5. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, we explained that for the most part, a PrizePicks prop needs to be, PrizePicks sets their props somewhere between minus 120 and minus 137, where minus 120 is effectively the prop number if you're doing a 5 or 6 leg flex or flex play, where minus 137 would be what the prop is for a 2-leg parlay or a 2-leg prop. Now, you might be saying, what are you talking about? What does it matter? Why does it matter if it's minus 137 or anything? So effectively, if you went to a sports book and you parlayed 2 props at minus 37, the payout would be the same as what PrizePicks pays out for a 2-leg parlay. It's really important because if the payout was less, then you should just place that parlay on a sports book. That's why it's important. So the value on PrizePicks only begins on a 2-leg at minus 137. So that's a really important note. Now, the next number you see are the consensus odds. So next we look at Sportsbook odds and look for the consensus. Now, if you click on the plus button here, you could see that that number is consensus, and it is effectively an average of whatever the 3, in this case, the 3 sports books in my neck of the woods that have this particular prop available, right? So this is generally geolocated to where you are, but here's what the number is. Now, one of the main assumptions we're using is that the sportsbook consensus is correct, or at least mostly correct, right? And the reason we do that is because sportsbooks have 2-sided betting lines, and theoretically, bets on both sides will bring the prop on the sportsbook to equilibrium. So the first way to find value on PrizePicks is simply to find discrepancies between the sportsbook odds, the sportsbook projection itself, and the PrizePick projection. So when we take the consensus number and we turn it into a physical metric, we get our sportsbook projection. And this is the easiest thing to compare directly to the PrizePicks line, right? So effectively what we're seeing here is that the sportsbook consensus of under minus 119 under 41.5 translates to a physical number of 41.16, which is less than the PrizePicks consensus of 45.5. When we compare these two numbers, you'll see that if we were to, when we compare those numbers and we look at the PrizePicks number, we get an implied probability to the under of minus 141 with a 58% likelihood of the under 45.5 hitting. That's where you get the odds to hit. And again, as long as this number is above minus 137, that there is value to that bet against the sportsbook. That's simple. So here we show that the under 45.5, when compared to the sportsbook consensus, would generate odds of minus 141, 58% implied probability, which is enough. We need PrizePicks to be right around that 58 because PrizePicks sets their lines at minus 137, so approximately 57.5% implied probability, right? So in order to play a play on PrizePicks and have value, you really want significant odds to hit in this range of above, really right there, above 58%. You have a slight edge here in this, looks like in this Derrick Henry or this Tyler Higbee prop. But wait, there's more. So In order to take it beyond just the basic of a comparison between the PrizePicks line and the Sportsbook projection, we add in Sharp App projected line. And what that is our own internal model for player projections for that particular prop. The Sharp App model is the most accurate player projection model, as far as I know, that in existence at the moment. And it is an elite model that is wildly tested over many, many years, right? So to add a layer of accuracy and also to help you as the user whittle down your choices, we've added in the Sharp App projection. And what you want to do is look for situations where the Sportsbook projection and the Sharp App projection agree versus the PrizePicks projection. Those are the spots that generate a play or give you your best shot at a winning play. So if we take a look again at this Tyler Higbee prop here, you'll see that on PrizePicks, he's currently showing it under 45.5. The consensus sportsbook odds show a sportsbook projection of 41.5. When you look at the Sharp App projection, it's right there with the sportsbooks projecting 41.8 yards, which point to Tyler Higbee under 45.5 being a value bet that you should use in a leg of your PrizePicks lineup. I'm going to show you a contrast here in terms of one where the sportsbook projection and the Sharp App projection do not agree. And in that case, for me, this would not trigger a play. I would avoid it. So here you have Dak Prescott showing for total rushing yards. And quarterback total rushing yards is generally one you probably want to stay away from anyway because the metrics are really, really small and it's skewed. But this one tells the tale enough to use as a solid example, right? In the case of Dak Prescott, the PrizePicks line here is over 12.5 rushing yards, right? When we look at the sportsbook consensus, the sportsbook consensus is over 13.5, and it's minus 120, even minus 130 to the over, right? So the sportsbook is pointing over 13.5, and actually when we translate minus 123 on 13.5 to a number, it comes out to 13.73 yards, which is mildly over 12.5 yards, right? But in the case of this prop, when you look at the Sharp App projection, it's actually sitting at 11.16. It's under 12.5, right? So the sportsbook projection and the Sharp App projection disagree. Now, if I was a sportsbook bettor, this would trigger potentially a play to go to the sportsbook and bet the under on this spot, right? But as far as the PrizePicks line, which is directly in the middle of the two numbers, this becomes an avoid situation. People ask, well, what if the two don't agree? Then don't play that prop. That's what I say. Or choose your method. If you say, nope, I want to always go with value against the sportsbook, then that's fine. You use a sportsbook projection. That's what, other sites that do these type of tools, they only have the sportsbook projection. They don't add in a proprietary projection system, especially not one as accurate as the model that we use here. So that's really the benefit of this tool compared to any other tool that exists, but also in general for you, the user, to give you these decision points. Let's see if we can find another one here currently on the board, which would trigger one way or the other. So we just got a live change. Let's see what just changed. Here we go. Rushing attempts. I'm just looking for another one for this example. Yeah, we can go Darren Waller here, total receiving yards. And in the case of this one, you'll see another one where both the sportsbook projection and the Sharp App projection point to the same direction. So in the case of the Waller total receiving yards, you've got the PrizePicks line of over 41.5. The sportsbooks are sitting currently consensus at 45.5. Right? It's just over under. There's bets. There's real money betting both sides of this. So it is a close one. Some of them are 44.5, but the consensus is popping in at 45.5. That's okay. And then the Sharp App projection is showing at 53.3 far. So in the case of this Darren Waller line, both the Sportsbook projection and the Sharp app projection are pointing to the over. That would trigger a play for me. Let's look for one where they disagree. Yeah, here we go. Here's another disagree, right? So Gerald Everett, this is minor, and neither one of these would trigger a play for me, but it's just important to note. In the case of this metric, we're looking at under 27.5 receiving yards for Gerald Everett. The Sportsbook consensus is under 26.5 at minus 123. So the Sportsbooks have juice to the under 26. Our line is 27.5. When you apply that juice to under 26.5, it gives you an actual projection of 26.04. But when you look at the Sharp app projection, it is sitting at 27.8, which is above the 27.5 number here. This would be a no play for me. That would be one I would just look to avoid, and so on and so forth. So this should give a pretty good idea of how to use the PrizePicks Proptimizer tool to set your lineups on PrizePicks